live from the new sports betting capital of the world.
You might be from Texas, but I'm from New Jersey.
Benny Riciardi is here to break down the day's betting board for you.
Let's go, Jerry. Go!
Taking a first look at the day's bets, it's time for the FTN Betting Show. Welcome to the FTN Bets Cast here for Monday, April 18th at FTN Bets. We got a big slate of NBA and MLB action to talk about here tonight. We're going to start off by talking about the NBA playoffs. 3-game slate for Monday night here after the first games took place over Easter weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Every series has played at least one game right now. So we're moving on to the game twos. The first one we're going to talk about is the Toronto Raptors taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. So game one was a domination by Philly. Philly was up 20 and pretty much cruised through victory throughout that game, ending the game with a 20-point victory as well. You know, the funny thing about this game is that Toronto didn't really play that bad. They shot 48% from the field, which is pretty good. They shot 40% from three-point line, which is really good. And yet they still lost this game by 20, which does not bode very well for them going into game two of the series. Both Scotty Barnes and Gary Trent, two starters for the Toronto Raptors, are listed as doubtful here today. Barnes, I think it was an ankle injury that he suffered in game one, and Trent is a little under the weather. It's non-COVID, but supposedly he has an illness, but it's a non-COVID illness is what they're saying. So I don't know, maybe just a normal sore throat and stuffy nose or something like that. But either way, both of those guys are doubtful for the game tonight, which, again, both of those guys played in game one. They both played significant minutes like they normally do. Trent did not play well at all. Barnes played okay in that first game, but not having those two guys would be a big deal for Toronto. I mean, listen, they needed everything they could to keep it within 20 in game one. If you're taking two of the starters off, now are they the two most important starters? No, but at the same point in time, losing two starters is never going to be an easy thing here. So let's see. Philly shot really well in that first game. They shot 50% from three-point line. They were 16 of 32 in that first game. And the thing is, you know, it looked like Toronto's game plan was to stop the big guys for Philly, right? They stopped Joel Embiid. Well, I won't say stop Joel Embiid, but, you know, they concentrated on keeping the ball out of Joel Embiid's hands. Joel Embiid only took 15 shots, which is a little less than was expected out of him. He only had 19 points. James Harden only had 22 points. But he got 26 points out of Tobias Harris. He got 38 points out of Tyrese Maxey, who had just an unbelievable game. He was unconscious pretty much throughout the game. Like he got hot early and just stayed hot throughout the entire game. You're not going to beat Philly when they're getting 40 and 25 from, you know, two of their secondary pieces in that game. Like I said, they didn't even need Joel Embiid, MVP candidate Joel Embiid, and former MVP James Harden to carry the team in that game. They were able to win without those two guys out there. So, like I said, does not bode well for Toronto here. So the spread on this game is 7.5. I actually like Philly minus 7.5. It's minus 7.5, minus 110 on basically every book out there in the market. So you can get this number anywhere out there. I do like it. I have no problems. I would rather be on the Philly side at minus 7.5 than take Toronto. And that was even before I knew that Scotty Barnes and you know, Gary Trent were doubtful. With those guys doubtful, it only gives me more confidence that Philly's going to go out there and have another big game here tonight. When we look at the total in this game here, we can get an over at 217.5 on DraftKings, BetMGM, and Caesars. That's the best price there if you want to play an over. If you want to play an under on this game, 218 is the number PointsBet has, so you can play the under minus 110, 218 on PointsBet here. My favorite prop play for this game is going to be James Harden assist. Right now, you can get James Harden 10.5 assists. On FanDuel, it's minus 115. On DraftKings, this number is minus 135. It's minus 130, minus 135 on a lot of the other books, and that's what I have as fair value. I have fair value here as Harden over 10.5 assists, minus 135. So to get it at minus 115 on FanDuel, I think we have a massive edge on that number there. Like I said, DraftKings has it at minus 145. So you're looking at like a 30 basis point gap between the two on the exact same number. So right now, I think getting over to FanDuel and taking this at minus 115 before it goes up is probably the prudent move. Like I said, if you have to play it at 135 or above, I probably would stay away. If you can get it under 135, I think there's value there. And obviously, if you can get it at minus 115, that's a lot of value, and that's what we're really looking at in this game. As for the series price on this, Philly up 1-0. Series price has moved to minus 425 for Philly to win the series. Listen, I think Philly has about as good a chance to win the series as anybody. I would actually even put it a little bit higher. I think they got about a 90% chance to win this series at this point in time. But again, at minus 425, I mean, you're still looking at, that's in the 80s percentage chance right there. So a little bit of value there on that number if you want to play it. Again, you're not going to get rich taking a lot of minus 425s, but if you want to use it as part of a parlay, put something else in there together with it, you're not going to get any arguments from me. I think Philly's a lock to win this series. I think they're a lock to win this game. I like them to cover the 7.5. I like Harden on the over of the assists. I'm staying away from the total or any of the props for the guys on Toronto here today. So let's talk about the next game now. That is the Utah Jazz against the Dallas Mavericks. Utah with a road win in the first game, 99-93. They go up 1-0 in the series here. It's really tough to talk about this game because we still have Luka Doncic kind of hanging over our heads. He was out the first game. It was said that he was going to be out the second game, but they have moved him from out to questionable here. I would still think that he's more on the doubtful side of being questionable than on the probable side of being questionable. So I would still expect Luka Doncic to be out again here tonight for game 2. But again, until we get that news for sure, I'm not really touching anything here. You can get this spread as low as -5, -115 on DraftKings. -5.5 at -110 is what you see on most of the sites out there. So if you're interested in the Utah Jazz, which I would be if Luka is definitely ruled out here tonight, -5, -115 on the Utah Jazz, I think is a pretty good price. I would be willing to play that if there's no Luka. If you want to be on the Dallas side of this game, you can get it as high as +6 at -114. Again, a lot of +5.5, -110s out there in the market. FanDuel has it at +6, -114 though. So that would be the best price on the Dallas Mavericks side if you were looking to go over there and play the Mavericks. There is one prop bet that I'm looking at here. Two guys basically carried the offense for the Utah Jazz in the first game. That was Donovan Mitchell and Bojan Bogdanovic. Bogdanovic, much more efficient than Mitchell was in that game. Mitchell had to take 29 shots to get his points in that game. Bojan only took 20. But again, that's still 20 shots. That's a lot of shots out there. 19.5 is the prop number for him out there in the market. He had over 20 in the last game. This opened at 18.5 and is bet up to, -125, -130 on most books. FanDuel was the first to move it to 19.5, and they have it 19.5, -102. So that's what I'm really looking at here. I like the FanDuel over 19.5 for Bojan Bogdanovic at -102 is the way that I'm looking at that. As for the total, if you want to play a total here, it's basically over 205.5 on almost every book at -110. If you want to play the under the 205.5 here, Unibet has it at -109. They do that sometimes. They just drop it 1 basis point so that any of those sites that only show the best price in the market, they want to have their name popping up there instead of the DraftKings, the FanDuels, the BetMGMs of the world. But again, you're getting a little bit of a better price. So if you have access to Unibet and you want to play the under, 205.5 -109 is what you can get it on over there. Let's see now. As for the series, the Jazz are monster favorites in this series. They are -700 to win this series, up 1-0 with Luka. Like I said, likely out again for this game here. I don't think Utah is that much better than the Dallas Mavericks at full strength, but without Dallas being at full strength, I think, you got to kind of give respect to the Jazz. Would I bet this number at -700? No, I think it's probably way too short for us to be putting any money on here, but I do think that they're going to win the series. As for the Dallas side, I couldn't find any props that I liked for this game. Assuming Luka doesn't play, you're going to get a lot of what you saw last game. You're going to get a lot of Spencer Dinwiddie. You're going to get a lot of Jalen Brunson. And then you're going to get a bunch of these other guys that are, going to be hit or miss depending on if their shots dropping. Guys like Maxi Kleber and, Dorian Finney-Smith and Reggie Bullock. These are secondary pieces who, if anything, you play them to hit a bunch of threes here today because that's pretty much what they do. Those guys kind of stand out on the perimeter, and Jalen Brunson and or Spencer Dinwiddie are the two guys that create all the offense for this team, and those guys just kind of knock down shots. The assist numbers weren't that great. The points numbers for both of these guys are bumped up a little bit. Brunson, we played the other day, I think it was over 19.5. Today it's 22.5, and while I do think he scores around 20 points here today, I don't think there's value on going 22.5, especially because I think it's at like even money or like -105 or something. I just don't think there's any value there at that number. Even if Luka doesn't play, if Luka does play, then you definitely don't want that number. So, like I said, for me, I'm just staying away from the Dallas side of this game. And that brings us to the third and final NBA game of the day, which is going to be the Denver Nuggets traveling to Golden State to take on the Golden State Warriors. Game one was an easy victory for the Golden State Warriors, 123-106. They won that game by 17. They won it by 17 with Steph Curry being on a minutes restriction. My guess is he's probably going to be on a minutes limit here today. Remember, Steph didn't start that game the other day. They let Jordan Poole keep starting. And I mean, Jordan Poole's been playing great, so it's not like you can knock him or say that there's anything bad there. This is just a very deep team right now with the Golden State Warriors. I mean, you're bringing guys like Nemanja Bjelica and Steph Curry or Jordan Poole, depending how that works out, and Otto Porter. Like, these guys are coming off the bench. You know, Draymond's back, Andrew Wiggins is in there, Clay is back. You know, Kevin Looney is holding down the center spot for them. He's probably the weakest of all the starters that they have out there. But again, this is a very talented team. They play very good defense. They have more than enough offense with all those guys out there. Like I said, they didn't even really need Steph Curry to play more than like 20 minutes in that game. He lit it up, put up like 16 points in 20 minutes. Probably going to remain on a minutes restriction here, but definitely like that. The Warriors right now are just so much better than Denver. I mean, other than Nikola Jokic, I think Will Barton had a pretty decent game. You know, again, you're going to need like Monte Morris to have big games and Will Barton to have big games. And, you know, you're going to need to get points out of some of these guys that don't normally score. Like, you're going to need like a double-digit scoring game out of Aaron Gordon, like 15, 18 points. And I'm just not sure you're going to get that here. So, you know, the more I look at it, I just don't see how the Denver Nuggets are going to keep up with the Golden State Warriors here. Warriors are -6.5, -110 on MGM. That is the best price you can get them at. I actually really like them at that price here. So I got a bet on the Warriors today. This is -7, -110. Most other books out there in the market. So to get it at 6.5, -110 on BetMGM, you're getting obviously the best of this price. If you wanted to play the Nugget side, which I have no desire to do, but if you wanted to, you can get them at +7 on most of the sites out there. DraftKings, FanDuel, PointsBet, Caesars, they all have it at +7, -110. But like I said, the Golden State side is the side I want to be on. -6.5, -110 over on BetMGM. Best price you can get on that one there. As for the total in this game, 224 is the total. I lean to the over, but I don't really love it. Not going to put a bet on it, but if I had to put a bet, it would be on the over. 224 at -110 on Unibet and Caesars. You can get that. Under 224.5 at -110 is the best price on BetMGM if you want to be on the other side of that game. And the Golden State Warriors right now are -500 favorites to win this series here. I think that's a good price. I think it's a little underpriced. I think they're a lot like Philly, where I would have them more as like a 90% chance to win this series here. So, those two are two that I actually parlayed together. Philly winning their first round series, Golden State Warriors winning their first round series. The price isn't as good as you could have got it before the first game started. That was a little above even money. I want to say it was like -125 at the time. It's up to like -190 is the best price you can find on it, parlaying those two together now. But again, I do still think it's a decent way to spend some money because I don't see either one of these teams losing. Both of these teams may win in a sweep. At most, maybe they get one loss or two losses in the series, but I really don't even see that happening. I think this is going to be easy victories for both the Philadelphia 76ers and the Golden State Warriors here. I don't have any prop plays on the Warriors that I like. They had a very balanced attack in game one. Again, with everybody healthy, with Otto Porter back and, with Steph Curry back and with Draymond Green back and Clay back and everybody else back, I don't see the concentration that we saw early in the year with, Steph Curry having to do all of the scoring for this team right now. You have prop numbers that are up for Clay. You have prop numbers up for Jordan Poole. You have, these guys are not at the discounts that they were earlier in the year. Everybody knows what all these guys could do right now. If anything, I would be looking to play an under on Steph Curry in case, he doesn't play more than 20-something minutes again. Probably should have played it last game. I chickened out, but, again, he only had 16 points. I think his number was 21 or so. So playing the under on him when you heard he was on the minutes restriction was probably the right move there. If we get news that he's on a minutes restriction again here today, again, it's probably the right move here today as well. But I didn't put that bet in. That'll be something that I'm monitoring throughout the day. So there you go. That wraps it up for the NBA action here this morning. We're going to take a quick break and be right back with more on the FTN Bets Cast. Welcome back to the FTN Bets Cast for Monday, April 18th here on FTN Bets. Talked a little bit of NBA action in the opening. Now we're going to switch gears and go over to the MLB. We got a big day of MLB action that starts with the game at 11:15 in the morning East Coast time between the Minnesota Twins and the Boston Red Sox. Now, I will say this. I have seen quite a few Twitter handicappers and other people talk about the Minnesota Twins here this morning. You can get the Twins as high as plus 132 on FanDuel right now, a bet that a lot of people are saying you should take against the Boston Red Sox. Red Sox, best price we can find out in the market right now is a minus 145, which you can get on DraftKings, BetMGM, Caesars, or PointsBet at the moment. Minnesota just released its lineup, and the lineup is not one of their best lineups. It's kind of their second-tier lineup where they let a couple people sit here today. So even if you were on Minnesota early in the day, I think that the odds have moved against you with the release of their lineup here this morning. So I would much rather be on the Boston Red Sox side of this game if you're going to play anything here. I think really, though, the weak lineup from Minnesota kind of keeps me off of this game because I did agree with a lot of the Twitter handicappers that Minnesota was probably a decent value here this morning. But again, that was assuming that they had their best lineup out there, which they do not, for this 11 o'clock in the morning game here on the day after Easter. Next game we can talk about Chicago White Sox against the Cleveland Guardians here. Guardians are favored at home, minus 124, the best number I could see on them. You can get that over on Unibet, Sugar House, or Bet Rivers here today. They're right around that range everywhere else too, minus 125, minus 126. So not a huge difference between them here. But Unibet, Sugar House, Bet Rivers is the best price on the Guardians at minus 124. You guys know I'm very high in the Chicago White Sox this year. So if anything, I'm going to be on the White Sox side of this game. FanDuel has them at plus 108, but you can get them at plus 105 or higher on just about every book out there in the market. I do like the Chicago White Sox here today, plus 108. Give me the Chicago White Sox at plus money. Arizona Diamondbacks, Washington Nationals. Nationals are the side I like here. I think there is a little value on them as well. I have them as a minus 160 favorite here. Most of the books out there are offering this out at minus 140, minus 150, somewhere in that range. DraftKings, BetMGM, PointsBet, you can get the Washington Nationals at minus 140. Madison Bumgarner on the hill for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Plus 115 to plus 125 is the best I'm seeing. Oh, actually, plus 126 on FanDuel right now is the best number I'm seeing on the Arizona Diamondbacks if you're interested in playing that side of the game. Next game up, the San Francisco Giants and the New York Mets. The New York Mets favored here, minus 125, minus 120, actually, the best number on BetMGM and PointsBet here. You can get the Mets money line at. San Francisco is plus 105 to plus 108. FanDuel plus 108. Unibet plus 107, the two best prices out there in the market on the San Francisco Giants. Pittsburgh Pirates, Milwaukee Brewers. The Pirates are hot garbage this year, so plus 160 on them on Caesars if you're interested, plus 145 to plus 155 on most of the other books out there. I'm not playing the Pirates here. I am not as high on the Brewers offense as a lot of other people are, but again, they are deserving big favorite in this game. As high as minus 190, as low as minus 170 on DraftKings. Best price you can get on the Milwaukee Brewers. I like them to win. I don't want to play them at minus 170 though. Next game up, Tampa Bay Rays, Chicago Cubs. The Cubs are at home here, plus 130 underdog on DraftKings. Best number you can get there. They're like plus 125 to plus 130 on all the other books here, but DraftKings does have the best price on the Chicago Cubs today at plus 130. Tampa Bay, minus 150, minus 145 on Caesars and PointsBet is the best price on the Tampa Bay Rays side. I like the Tampa Bay Rays side of this game, but minus 145. Pretty much fair value. I don't think we got a lot left there that we could play with. Next up, the Los Angeles Angels against the Houston Astros. The Angels are a dog on the road, plus 130 to plus 140. DraftKings, FanDuel both have it at plus 140. Caesars has it at plus 142 if you're interested in the Angel side. The Houston Astros is the side that I would be more interested in. But again, not really a great price here. You're getting minus 155 to minus 160 everywhere. Unibet, Bet Rivers, Sugar House, minus 155. Best price you can get. Houston Astros here today. Let's see. We got a Coors Field game here today. The Philadelphia Phillies traveling to Coors to take on the Colorado Rockies. Phillies are a minus 160, minus 170 favorite on the road. Let's see here. Bet MGM at minus 160 is the best price you can get on the Philadelphia Phillies today. Minus 165 to minus 175 everywhere else. So Phillies minus 160. I do think that's a pretty good number. I wouldn't mind taking that number. Not a lot of value compared to where we have it at, but I am pretty confident in the Phillies to win today. So maybe it's part of like a parlay if you want to throw it in with something else. The Rockies, you can get anywhere between plus 140, plus 135, and plus 150 is the high number here. Caesars at plus 150 is the best number on the Colorado Rockies. I mean, again, I like plus 150. That's a nice number, but I really don't like the Rockies. Don't think they have much of a chance. Not going to be touching that. So here's a bet that I do actually like quite a bit here today, and that's the Oakland Athletics against the Baltimore Orioles. You got Frankie Montas on the mound for the Athletics going up against Baltimore. You know, you can get Montas as low as minus 189 today. This is minus 200 on some books, minus 190 to minus 195 on most books, and minus 189 on Caesars, which is the best price out there. As for the Orioles, best price on them, plus 170. They're anywhere between plus 155 to plus 165 on most books, plus 170 on Caesars as well on the other side of this game. So I like the Orioles. I like the A's at minus 189. I don't like the Orioles at plus 170, but that is the best number out there if you're looking for it. Get over to Caesars, take that minus 189 on Oakland. And actually, I'm going to use this as one part of my big MLB parlay today. And we'll talk about the second leg here in a minute. We got 2 games left. The next one up, Cincinnati Reds, San Diego Padres. Sean Manaea on the mound for the Padres here. Big favorite today. Minus 165 to minus 180, depending what book you're looking at. Bet MGM with the minus 165, lowest price on the San Diego Padres. I actually don't mind that number either. I have it as minus 175 fair value, and a lot of sites have this at minus 175, minus 180. It's minus 175 on Caesars, minus 180 on PointsBet, Unibet, Bet Rivers. Minus 165 on Bet MGM, though. Best price on the San Diego Padres. I think you can play them there. If you're on the other side of this game, Cincinnati Reds, plus 140 to plus 150. The plus 155 on Caesars is actually the best number you can get on the Reds if you're interested in taking that side. Like I said, I like San Diego more, but just throwing it out there for you guys. And then the last game is where we have a couple bets here. That's the Atlanta Braves against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw on the mound for the Dodgers. Huascar and Noah on the mound for the Atlanta Braves here. He was not good in his first start. Went 3 innings, gave up 7 hits, 2 walks, 5 runs before getting pulled. He did have 4 strikeouts, though, over those 3 innings. And that's one of the things I like here today. The bet on him is going to be the under 4.5 strikeouts. Our boy Frank, one of our MLB experts over at FTN Bets, had this one in there already this morning as one of his favorite plays. You can get this at plus 110. Huascar and Noah under 4.5 strikeouts. I'm taking that chance here today. And then the other chance I'm taking is actually on the Dodgers. You know, minus 225, minus 230 are the high numbers I see in the market. Minus 213 is the low number. That's the best number on the Dodgers, and that's over at Caesars. So I'm playing the Dodgers as part of a parlay over at Caesars at minus 213, along with the Oakland Athletics at minus 189. You put those two together, you actually get a payout of plus 125 on the parlay. So I like parlaying the Oakland Athletics money line with the Los Angeles Dodgers money line here today. Gives you a plus 125 payout on Caesars. That's going to be one of my best bets for today here, along with Huascar and Noah to go under 4.5 strikeouts here for the Atlanta Braves against the Los Angeles Dodgers. And there you go. That wraps it up for the entire MLB slate of games here today. And that's going to wrap up our show on the FTN Bets Cast. Remember to like and subscribe. If you don't have a subscription already, get over to ftnbets.com/pricing. Use promo code Benny, and you could save 20% off on any package, not only at FTN Bets, also at FTN Daily and FTN Fantasy. So whether you're looking for season-long fantasy advice, daily fantasy advice, or you're somebody who's going to be doing some sports betting, get over to one of the FTN brands and check it out. Use promo code Benny, get you 20% off. This is Benny Ricciardi signing off for the FTN Bets Cast here at FTN Bets. Good luck today, everybody.
Live from the new sports betting capital of the world.
You might be from Texas, but I'm from New Jersey.